Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Microsoft Teams webinar. We are hosting today's webinar with Parallel Technologies. We have Travis Muller and Andy Floyd that will be presenting and demoing our Mitel product. Travis has been with Mitel for 4 years and is the Collaboration Product Marketing Manager. He's responsible for crafting and sharing the Mitel story around collaboration and ensuring partners and sales teams are equipped to discuss team collaboration and its benefits to an organization. Travis has worked on both the field marketing and the demand generation teams at Mitel. Andy is a field sales engineer and has been with Mitel for 3 years. He specializes in our UCaaS as well as our UC offerings. If you have any questions, please put them in our question box and we will answer them at the end. Larissa, take it away.
Thanks, Whitney, and thanks everyone for joining today. We're excited to have both Mitel and Revel Urban Winery with us today. Logistically, we're going to start with our webinar content, and then we're going to move to the wine tasting portion immediately after the Q&A. The session is going to be recorded. We'll provide that to you guys after. And the winery will be joining us as panelists shortly. With the COVID pandemic still in full force a year later, we're finding our customers continue to be really excited about Microsoft Teams as their main collaboration tool. We've brought our technical experts from Mitel today, as Whitney said, Andy Floyd and Travis Muller, to walk you through the different options Mitel has available now and coming soon to integrate your phone calling with Teams. So Travis, take it away.
Thank you very much. Let me make sure I get my screen pulled up here. Sorry, my internet just went out right before this started. Would somebody just confirm that I'm sharing?
You are, Chef. You are.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, hello everyone. Excited to be with you today. As mentioned, my name is Travis Muller. I'm Product Marketing Manager for Applications here at Mitel. Excited to be working with a great partner like Parallel that we have on the call today. So excited to be going over our integrations with Microsoft Teams. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what we're going to focus on and go over today are why having the right tools are important. Video conferencing has been a huge part of life in the pandemic, life in the last year, and it's really been crucial. Not only video conferencing, but collaboration and other remote working tools as well. And so companies have made some investments there that we'll go over. We'll talk about Microsoft Teams as a whole, what that looks like for today's workers and how Mitel works with Microsoft Teams. We'll get into at the end a little bit of why working with Mitel is the right decision and how we plug in with Microsoft Teams. Do a little Q&A at the end, and then we'll get into the fun stuff with the wine tasting. So let's start by just kind of resetting a little bit about where we are and a little bit in terms of reaction to what's happened in the last year. About this time last year, organizations were scrambling. They were having to make some key decisions on how are we going to get our remote workers up and running with the right tools quickly? How are we going to keep business running as close to business as usual as we can? So it's very reactionary mode. Thankfully, we're not there anymore. We've kind of come out of that and now we're in this period of planning and looking ahead as really the horizon is showing a bright light of hope ahead as businesses are looking to be reopening as early as this summer for people who've sent their employees more remote. And so this is a chance for teams, IT decision makers, everybody to be looking ahead and saying and evaluating the tools that we have today. They were great for when we just had to get something out there, when we were just in reactionary mode. But as we look ahead and we're trying to be strategic about this new workforce and the way that we're going, is this really the right direction? Do we have the exact right tools at our fingertips for our employees to be as efficient as they possibly can be? And so that's what this period is about. There's been some key things that we at Mitel have really been studying and looking at how businesses have operated and have been working during this time. And there have been a couple of really big key learnings that we've noticed. We've been saying at Mitel for years that remote working and being able to work from home was on its way, that it was coming down the line, and the time to prepare is now. Well, this has really spurred a lot of companies to have to be kind of force their hand into that decision. What we've noticed from that is that workers are doing great. They're still being productive while working from home. Yes, there are more challenges. Yes, that's not the case for every single person. And so that's not going to be a solution for every single person. But there have been some really good things that have come out of that, and even additional productivity that has come from having people working remotely and not having to come in to the office all the time. So that's been one key learning that we look at how that's happened and how it's really going to persist. It's not going to go away. People are still going to demand remote work. That's kind of become an expectation now. Another thing to look at, though, is that everybody's at a different place with this. We've had to be very flexible in terms of how we work with people and technology and things like that. As I mentioned, I was on this call and my internet went out 2 minutes before we started, so that was a little panic moment for me, but thankfully it came back on. We've had to be a little bit flexible in working with people. My wife, we were lucky enough to have our first baby during this pandemic. And so there were times when I'm on daddy duty with a sick kid at home and having to juggle between getting work done and being on calls while also taking care of some of the things that I have to take care of at home. It's just kind of the way things have had to been. We had to be flexible. And so one thing that companies can learn from this is, are there processes and strategies and policies that can be put into place that can help your employees work better, that can help them to think about their work-life strategy and balance, and how they're able to get everything done while still managing some of the demands that are going on at home. And so there are tools that are enabling that. There are technological challenges that happen, but there are solutions out there as well. And so that's something that businesses have to be looking at. How can we empower our employees and empower our workforce? The idea of application overload has never been more real. That we now, especially when you're remote and you don't have the IT guy down the hallway that you can go talk to, having multiple applications that you're juggling and you're trying to remember your password for, or whatever the case may be, is a real challenge. And so having different applications that are disjointed, that are not connected, that are not a seamless experience, that's something that companies can look at as well. Are there ways to consolidate the number of applications that you're burdening your users with? And then finally, we've known this for a while, but this continues to be true, that collaboration is in our future, that in order for productivity to remain high as the workforce becomes more dispersed, collaboration tools and applications that enhance communication and collaboration are more important than ever. And so that's really what it comes down to, as decision makers are looking ahead, looking at what is the strategy for how we bring people back into the office, or how we do a hybrid schedule, whatever the case may be, that these are questions that need to be asked. And really what it comes down to is the time is now to look at what your business communication strategy is. Maybe you have had some tools that have been a Band-Aid solution during this time period, but as you look ahead, you can see, there's some investments that need to be made to really make this a better experience for our users, a better, more seamless experience of bringing applications together. And that leads us into our conversation about Mitel and Microsoft Teams. So the first question, what is Microsoft Teams? May seem like a little bit of a redundant question, as this year Microsoft Teams has become very commonplace in a lot of organizations, especially on the high end, but even down into mid-market as well. But Microsoft Teams is a collaboration tool that has chat, meetings, and collaboration built into it. It's included with Office 365 plans and licenses from a certain tier and upwards. And it's available on desktop, web, mobile, all these different avenues to access Microsoft Teams. But there are a couple challenges. As great of an application and tool as Microsoft Teams is, there's a couple of challenges in what they offer. The first is, as you look at some of the advanced telephony features that our Mitel customers are used to, those are not things that you can typically find within Microsoft Teams. Yes, there is calling on a very basic level, but that is not really a great solution for some of the more advanced needs that our customers are used to. And as we look, and as we at Mitel and other providers have looked to integrate with Microsoft Teams, it just doesn't have a really built out strategy for third-party integrations at this moment. It's still a little new in that area. And so the APIs that they have available are very limited on what can be done. And so you've seen maybe some of our other providers or other competitors out there saying that they have native integrations with Microsoft Teams. And you're thinking, well, what about Mitel? What does Mitel have? Well, basically, it's a pretty level playing field that everybody's using the same integrations. None of them are truly native, but there are some really good ways to integrate with Microsoft Teams that make it a really good experience. And that's what we're going to go over today. And we're going to show you a little bit of a demo here later. So Andy will do a great job presenting that and what those look like. But one thing that we want to make really clear is that if you are an organization that's using Microsoft Teams, that Mitel has some really great integrations, and that you're getting the best of both worlds when you're combining Mitel and the call control capabilities, enterprise level telephony that you've come to know and expect from us, into the Microsoft Teams environment. And so that's what we want to get into. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Andy. Let him take it for a little bit. He's going to showcase a couple of our integrations, do a little demo, and then we'll come back to me here afterwards. Andy?
All right, just a little sound check. Can everybody hear me? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Travis, for that excellent introduction. And so, yeah, thanks for giving us the time to kind of talk about this and kind of go over our strategy and how we are cooperating with Microsoft Teams in this new environment. And of course, what we've got up here on the screen here is a feature matrix of where we are today, and I'll be able to speak to a few things that we're going to be doing here in the future. Knowing that our audience is mainly focused on My Voice Connect, I will direct you to the My Voice Connect and the My Cloud Connect columns. So let's just ignore the other My Voice Business and the Flex. Those are just some of our other products that we sell throughout the global infrastructure, and take a look at what we're doing there. And the way this integration matrix is set up is we start at some of the least complex and move to the more complex or tighter integrations, or more fulfilling integrations. So at the very base level, we have direct routing, and that is something we can do with My Voice Connect today. And essentially, what that is a way to tie Microsoft Teams into your existing My Voice Connect platform and give you that peer relationship. And what that allows you to do is you've got, say a group of people that exist on Microsoft Teams and a group or people, or possibly even some contact centers that exist on My Voice Connect. Well, this allows us to fully integrate those two and allow them to exchange ideas and hand off calls between the two systems. And then, of course, if that is not the solution you're looking for, then we start moving down the stack here into hot dialing. We've got call to Teams integrations, web dialing, and of course the last two here, looking at our Mitel assistants. Those are actively being developed now and have got some exciting potential here in the near future. So tell you what, let's go ahead and go to the next slide here and talk a little bit about the direct routing. How do we accomplish that? So I told you essentially what it did before, but how do we get there? And really what we do is just, if you put your thinking cap on to back how we used to tie two PBX systems together, there were these technologies called tie lines or QSIG or even more recently, you got IP trunks and now SIP trunks. Essentially, that's what we're doing here. Microsoft has made it available to us and, of course, everybody else out there in the marketplace to integrate with them at a SIP trunk level. So that allows us to build pure trunking between the on-premise solution and their cloud solution. And of course, like I said, gets you to where we can, hand off calls between the two systems and maintain those two environments. And of course, here you can see, what the requirements are, and of course the limitations. This has got an expectation that you're going to have Microsoft E5 licenses, which is going to give you the phone system, the Microsoft phone system functionality. So if you don't mind, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Now, I know this slide's probably jumping ahead a little bit, but this is pretty interesting, and I'll be able to show this live. But if you were on the MyCloud Connect platform, which works almost identically to the on-premise solution, we do have some enhanced features that are already on there that we're working to bring and develop onto our on-prem customers. And with this MyCloud Connect for Microsoft Teams, we get an even tighter integration. This allows us to live and operate natively inside of Microsoft Teams. And essentially what we're doing with this is we're able to take that Teams client, register it with the Mitel PBX as a SIP endpoint. So you're really, at this point, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the front end, the consistent user interface of Microsoft Teams. And then on the back end, you're getting all of the advanced call routing features, all of the horsepower and, the 45, 50 years worth of R&D that's gone into giving a best-in-class voice solution under the hood that's actually driving this. To me, this kind of feels like where everybody probably wants to be. Please, chat in here if that's not the case or whatnot. But I kind of feel like that's kind of where everybody wants to go. But that is the tightest integration. Now, interim, we do have people that or customers that don't want to exclusively live in Microsoft Teams. They love their Connect client. They are used to it. It's comfortable. It's easy for them. I know jumping around from application to application, it's sometimes difficult, overwhelming to sit there and make that change. Well, we've gotten some technology that we've already developed, and we're applying to Microsoft Teams here. And there's two aspects of it. The first one here is the Mitel web extension, and I'll be able to show this to you if you haven't used it already, because this is actually available today. That allows us to identify the telephone numbers that we have displayed in Microsoft Teams and port them over and make the calls out of your Connect client natively. And of course, from your Connect client, you get all the greatest features there, ability to do your hold, transfer, conference, all that kind of stuff, and control your desk phone, your physical desk phone from that client. If you don't mind, go ahead and go to the next slide there. Yeah, and I think this is actually a redundant slide, so if you don't mind, go ahead and click on the next one. All right, and then the other side of that fence is our hotkeys. So whenever you're not inside of the web experience of Microsoft Teams, and you're using the desktop experience in Microsoft Teams, we have the ability to leverage our hotkeys, which is executed through our dialer app, our Mitel app dialer. And at that point, any telephone number that you see on screen, you can highlight, and then of course use a programmable hotkey and launch that call without having to do a copy paste or anything else, or try to remember that number and put it into your Connect client, cross launch it into your Connect client natively. If you don't mind, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And then lastly, we've got a meetings bot. So I don't know if you're aware. If not, let me introduce this to you. Our My Team Meetings. This is our video collaboration application. We launched that on My Voice Connect a while back, and in conjunction with that, we developed a bot that you can load into Microsoft Teams and allows you to natively type in and generate a My Team Meetings out of Microsoft Teams and allow you to cross launch that back into My Team Meetings. So, but that is just the beginning of this bot. There are additional features that are coming to it, as you can see here. We're looking to bring even a tighter integration so that we can bring a dial pad into the application and have that tightly integrated with MyCloud Connect. And of course, the cool part there is whenever we get this launched, it's currently in internal field trial, so it's pretty close. But once we get that launched, no longer will you need to purchase the phone system application on Microsoft Teams. You can still have a regular E1 license or E3 license and not have to purchase that phone system application and still get that functionality inside of Teams. So we give you that look and feel that everything is in Teams and it's a Teams environment. But really, what we're doing is we're driving this again out of Microsoft or out of Mitel Connect. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and all right. So now we're on to the demo. So let me get my screen up here and going. So I'm going to make myself a presenter and let's show my screen. And it looks like I've got it sharing now. Now what you'll see here up on my screen is I've got Microsoft Teams in this window, and of course I've got my Connect client over here. First off, I want to point out that I am currently using the MyCloud Connect client. So if you're looking at this and saying, hey, this looks a little bit different than my on-premise version of Connect, it is just a little bit different, but everything is still there. The only major change on this would be the Teamworks button. On premise, you still have the chat button there. If you're on cloud, we insert the Teamwork button here. So let's see here. Let's start out with I would say the first integration I want to show is the web app. So, or the web dialer. So if I was to, let me go over a contact here, find a contact, see if I've got myself in here. Here we go. Down here, if you'll notice, out beside each one of these numbers is a little telephone here. This is our web app dialer. It's recognizing that these are all real telephone numbers, and it's given us this little button here to cross launch into my Connect client. So I'll just call my cell phone here. So if I click on this, you can see over here, it has mailed up a call to my cell phone. And of course, at this point, I can control this call all through my Connect client. Got my transfer, my hold and release. So real easy way to do this. And this works in Teams, but this also works on any web page. So if you actually go out to any web page and find a telephone number, it will recognize that and launch it over here into your Connect client. So let me just release that. Another option here within Microsoft Teams. Now this works on both a web version, but it also works on any native clients. Would be the app dialer. I know I talked about that a little bit earlier, but if I was to bring this up, right here is an app dialer. This loads onto your PC, and it works in conjunction with your Connect client. And of course, here you have the have settings where you can actually enable this app dialer and tell it what hotkeys you want to use, what combination of hotkey you want to use to complete a call. And as you can see here, by default, I've got it set on the control key plus the 1 key. So if I hit control 1 while I have something highlighted, it will actually launch that call within the Connect client. And of course, this works on web and on PC-based applications. So let me go ahead and just close that out. Let's go back over to Microsoft Teams, and let's go ahead and highlight this. And if I was to hit control 1, just a second here, it's running a little slow. There we go. Now it's activating that call within my Connect client. So as you can see here, with those two applications that we already have in place today, we can seamlessly launch from Microsoft Teams, the web instance and the desktop instance into our existing Connect client. Now, to go a little bit further and to show you kind of the next thing is, let's look at the Mitel Assistant. Now, this is our bot that we developed and loaded into the Microsoft Store. So you can actually go out there and add it to your existing Microsoft Teams instance. And from here, this bot, which this is just the first iteration of it, we actually have some other iterations that are in internal field trials that we plan on launching in the near future that add functionality to it. But in this first release, what we're able to do is start a new meeting. So as you can see here, I can type in help, and then of course our little bots, just a second here, there we go. Our bot will start typing back Maya surname, and she lets you know that, hey, these are the things that you can do. I can say, all right, let me start a meeting. And in just a second, she will create my meeting and put all of my information in here. So from here, I can click on this and it will launch a new web browser tool, take me into my Mitel My Teams meeting. And here are my dial-in numbers. And of course, I can accomplish this number using either the web dialer or the app dialer. So that is what we can do with the bot today. But in the near future, we're going to have even more feature functionality brought to this. And like I said, the ability to even dial out of this without having to have a Microsoft PBX license. Now, let's see, did my screen go? Oh, I got one more thing I was going to show.
Oh, sorry about that.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Got one more thing. Let's see here. Now this one is probably not as fancy on the screen to show, but I do want to make you aware of it. One thing I did talk about was the Sarah, we kind of get our nomenclature mixed up here. It's the call to Teams application, but it's for the MyCloud Connect that we're going to be rolling out to My Voice Connect, and that's where we can make the Teams client act as a SIP extension off of a PBX. So what we can do here is I can actually call this number. I'm gonna call my cell phone from here. As you can see here, it's using the Microsoft Teams native dialer. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. It's completed the call. I have answered it. And then again, we've got our hold, transfer, consultative transfer, all those features that we have natively here in Microsoft Teams. But where this call is actually being placed is through my Cloud Connect client. So if I was to end this call, let's see here. If I bring up my dial pad, it tells me right here that my number is 314-627-0401. If I jump over here to my my portal here for my Cloud Connect application, you can see here that my telephone number for this extension 1401 is 314-627-0401. So this is my profile that Microsoft Teams is registered as. So even though you have a calling plan with Microsoft Teams, this is actually using my MyCloud Connect calling plan to dial out and receive those calls. That means that my advanced call routing, all my emergency location information, all that is being serviced by MyCloud Connect. Now, MyCloud Connect is the first iteration of this. We are in the works. We're testing this with My Voice Connect and should have that out here shortly. So that's what I've got. So if you want to take back over, Travis.
Yeah, thanks for walking us through that, Andy. Appreciate the demo. That was great. Great to see all the different options that we have available for the variety of our customers' needs. So just a couple of things to wrap us up before we do a little Q&A and then get to the wine tasting. So just a reminder to get your questions in now as I'm just kind of wrapping up these last couple slides. So to really summarize, what it comes down to is that the Mitel and Microsoft relationship has been around for a while. And we want our customers to recognize the better together story that's available and the experience that's available to your users when you pair Mitel's advanced telephony with the features that you're using within Microsoft Teams. So now is the time to look at what decisions have been made on your communications infrastructure during the last several months or year, and reevaluate. Say, what are some things that are going to help us in the future? What are things that are going to help us moving forward as we reintegrate people into the office or have people working hybrid schedules, whatever the case may be. You know, another thing is look at the amount of tools that you're using. Are you using separate applications for collaboration and video and chat and all these different communication methods when really you could be utilizing them in one place, and making sure that you consolidate around the right set of tools. And for us, we believe that's around Mitel and Mitel with Microsoft Teams. Looking at that experience for your end users, but also the total cost of ownership for that experience as well. The other thing is looking to enhance the Teams experience. For users that are using Microsoft Teams, they love it for the video conferencing, for the chat capabilities. Why not add some advanced telephony into that? Why not add some of these features that Microsoft isn't able to deliver right now, including contact center? These are These are things that our customers have grown to know and love from Mitel, and we are excited to deliver that in a new way through Microsoft Teams. So last slide for me before we get to Q&A is just to highlight all the different ways that Mitel and Microsoft have worked together. As I mentioned at the beginning, the integrations with Microsoft are really Microsoft dependent right now. We're having to get creative in how we're building things out and working things out. But hopefully Microsoft will release some APIs around Microsoft Teams that we could take advantage of. And then we could see even greater integrations like we've seen in some of these other areas with single sign-on, with contact center, CRM integration. Outlook is one that I use every day with the Mitel and Microsoft integration. And so again, we are committed to that relationship with Microsoft, continuing to build out all of our feature functionality into that story. And with that, let's go ahead and go to Q&A. Have we got some questions lined up?
There's a couple questions here. First, there's a question for you and Andy. Would any existing work groups that we have automatically be transferred over to Teams, or would they all have to be recreated?
So work groups, yes, they would have to be recreated because work groups is essentially a connect concept or idea. So yeah, you would have to if you were going to, well, I guess it kind of depends on the level of integration you're going to use. If you plan to use Teams as your main hub in either a direct routing or in the call to Teams solution, then yes, you'll have to recreate those within Teams. But if we're just talking about doing some of the cross launch features, then they can stay intact on my Voice Connect.
Andy, another question that I see here is, when will the Mitel Assistant be ready, the new features within the Mitel Assistant?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's funny. Just before I got on here, I got a second release of the beta. So we are getting closer to adding those additional features. Those, I would say that based on what I've seen, it looks like we're probably looking at somewhere around mid to late April before those features get added. And of course, since this is developed in an agile way, not everything's going to come out at the same time. So as say some of those additional call features come out, we will continue to enhance that as developments are being made. So it's pretty exciting over there. We don't have to wait for a major software release or anything.
Great. And what about expanding that to My Voice Connect? Do you have any idea on the timeline with that and where that fits on the roadmap?
Yeah, so expanding it to My Voice Connect, again, we are just now in the initial testing phase. This is so the concept of using the Teams endpoint as a SIP softphone off the PBX. We are actually going to start testing. I believe it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got a test plan and some test strategies around that. A lot of the heavy lifting has already been done for the My Cloud Connect. So a lot of that's going to translate onto the premise side. But we just have to do our due diligence there to make sure it's a sound product when we release it.
Great.
Hey, Andy, it's Larissa. There were a couple of questions that I see that came in that I can read off to you. I don't have an E5 account, and if we can wait to roll out the full featured rollout, then we should be able to. When you build out your roadmap, are you looking at this being Q1 or Q2 of this year?
So since Q1 is about done, a lot of these features are going to be rolled out in Q2. In fact, like the Teams integration for My Cloud Connect, that's supposed to be out mid-April. So yeah, that falls into Q2, early Q2.
Okay, I have a couple others too. Can this be used with the Teams app instead of the web UI?
It can. It can. Now the one thing that we lose whenever you do the app instead of the web interface is the web dialer doesn't work. But that's why we have the app dialer. So the web dialer, that gave you the little telephone next to the telephone number that allowed me to click. That goes away on the desktop version, but still the shortcut key through the app dialer, that still persists and works. And then of course, once you do the SIP soft phone registration, either the call to Teams or through My Cloud Connect, those